Get it, Pastor Professor, season 2 finale. It's hot and heavy. Speed up and feed up. Doc Hutchinson said he ready to get back in some of this because we're dealing with, in the break, if you're watching Ustream, you saw us dealing with the black symbol versus the black leader and the roles thereof. Rock and roll, Doc.
All right, thank you. First of all, we defined black leadership enough to say that many of us around this table see the president as a black symbol. I would dare say many people would agree with that. Black leader, there's some room for debate. Black symbol, there's no debate. But now, if he's a symbol, and this is something we said, on Ustream, but not here. If he's a symbol, then, why all the fuss? That's number one. Number two, if he's a symbol and there's some things that need to be addressed in our communities, should we hold him accountable for those things? Should we hold ourselves accountable for those things? Who's accountable? Now, I've been black all my life. I understand that people get upset when you talk to them out of their name, when you take liberties with how you talk to them, and you don't have relationship. Right. But we're at the point in 2013, we got so many things that we need to deal with. Is this the time when we ought to really be worrying about, what he said? Or should we be worrying about what's happening in our community?
I think we could.
And should we do something about it?
I think we could do both, man. And I don't like the binary arc. I understand. Yeah, I understand. Right. So I don't like our binary approaches to issues and problems. Like we have to choose. Like we don't have enough wherewithal, or like we don't have enough resources, or like we don't have enough ambition to do more than one thing. We can critique him and still go out. Do we need to do some work in our communities to make things better? Of course we do. That's why when G said, when we were talking over the break, this whole notion about we can critique him because I can help you. I can talk to my congressman. I can talk to my this. I can talk to my that, and I can chastise you and tell you
in one. We major in one and minor in the other.
That's not true. That's the point I'm making. What I hate is I think what's so crazy about it is most black men that I know, black women, they are doing stuff in their communities, whether it's the person that goes around the neighborhood when somebody getting sick and feeding, whether it's somebody that gives free tutorials, whether it's somebody that helps that person with their application, if there's somebody that I know I'm broke as it is, and I give plenty of money for folks to get on that bus leaving Lemoyne on. That's activism and doing your part in the community. Right. I think black people need to get off this. That ain't nobody doing nothing. Most people I know are. But you were saying but you were saying you did say that we're majoring in one and minoring in the other. I'm gonna say I think we are double majoring. Just because you don't see somebody all out of the streets being in fact, I don't trust nobody, black or white, that every time you look up, they've got to broadcast what they're doing. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So I think
pro-blackness, they revolutionary.
I gotta drive for food. Yeah. Man, go buy somebody some grogroceries. That's what you can do. So I think
that day is done.
I think people saying that. I think when you mentioned that people are minoring. How did you come to that conclusion? Because how do we even know what anybody's doing? Because if it was that bad, we'd really be in the doldrums.
The issue is we complain about what the president is not doing.
Yeah, he can do more.
We complain about what we see in our communities. We complain about some of the issues in our communities. Okay. And it's not that people aren't doing. People have been doing since the beginning of time. But the issue is, if you see how your community is, if you see some of the challenges in your community, it's not that we can't walk and chew gum at the same time. But for me, now this is just me. Right. I'm not really into, critiquing the speech or whatever he said in the speech, or whether this one or that one got offended in the speech, because the bottom line is he was at Morehouse Commencement. It was historic. Yeah. And I will dare say that some of what he says when he talks to us could be left on the cutting room floor. I grant you that. But we got bigger fish to fry than worrying about the speech. And my only thing is, sometimes, and this is maybe a symbol of the age that we're in, we just concentrate on things. We got an issue right here in Memphis with a school system. And when people get an opportunity to voice their opinion, they're absent and they don't get involved in it. See, that's the sort of thing that I'm looking at. You know, I already know that if he's our symbol, at some point when the symbol needs to be over here, the symbol is going to be right here.
But being that he,
you see what I'm saying?
I do, and I think that this is why it's so critically important to have these types of conversations. Because if he is the black symbol, then that makes him a barometer. That means we need to be able to look at him and see what we think about black folk. And if we are looking at him and seeing what we are thinking, seeing what is being thought about black folk, then some of us who give a damn got a responsibility. And a responsibility, we don't have the luxury of an either or responsibility. I need to critique his ass for what he said. I need to applaud where he said good stuff and back him up and all of that. And I also need to be able to put some hands to some plows in the local communities. I don't have the luxury of doing an either or type thing. So I think that he is indeed a black symbol, but that makes him a barometer. And so if this is being projected broadly, then don't we have a responsibility to do something and say something about it?
I think so too, but also let's put it in this context. The context is everything that's about. But I was thinking that I read on Griot.com not too long before he did his commencement speech. It was an incident that happened between some Morehouse men and some Spelman women, rape allegations. So maybe he was in his way addressing those issues.
Could be.
I mean, because that happened recently. You can look it up on the internet. I don't know the details, but somebody allegedly got, you know.
And even that becomes problematic to me, because then you constantly find a way to beat up on the most powerless of the group. You got something to say to Morehouse being about something they did to Spelman women, so you pick the same people that you say we should be helping out here in the street to beat down. Okay, you scared to say a lot of things. You scared to say black, but you will say that about those people.
Amazing.
And I think that is that gum is just as important to chew as all the other stuff. Because see, these young folk in the street see that too. This is the man that they say is the man.
Right, that's
damn.
And words are so
he don't like
and the words are so dangerous.
Problematic.
We look at probably the worst, the most evil, corrupt dictator, and Hitler, Adolf Hitler, did all this basically for Mein Kampf, right? He comes in with that rhetoric. And that's how you get all these political and social things started, is by the rhetoric, whatever propaganda you put out there. So he's perpetuating that idea. First of all, we know the ills that affect our community. Everybody knows that. And we know that the same ones that affect us affect the whole 330-some million of us here in the United States. But like Jet says, it's just strange how he's not afraid to say anything to that nigga audience, even at this place. And the thing about the symbol is this, like you said, he does need to be a weather barometer for the most part. Yeah, so like, because if they're looking at you as this is what I need to be as a black man, but this is what you think of black people, That's very dangerous, not only for blacks, but for whites, too.
Well, and I'll put this into the backdrop, too. Melissa Harris-Perry talked about this. I asked her a question when she came to do the Black History lectures at Memphis Theological Seminary.
Okay.
Yeah, and I asked her something relative to the Obama moment with the King endorsement, the King Bible, and that sort of stuff in inauguration. And she talked about this conversation that she had with him. And she said, at some levels, the conversation, whenever it gets real, and she starts talking about his relationship to black folks, what comes up is his relationship with his dad.
Which he didn't have.
Right, and so the for lack of better terms, this may not be it at all, but the bitterness towards that could very well be what ends up being spewed out in these sacred black communities.
He ain't mad about that white mama he was dropping off them grandparents going to get all them PhDs.
Right. Or maybe he is, or maybe he is, and then you have to refrain from that.
There at all. That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen, Doc? You know better. Let me ask you a question. Have you seen some of these mamas that hit the clubs?
No,
they might as well not be there either. They there for a brief second.
I understand, but when you read his writings, I understand what you're saying. But when you read his writings and when you understand the relationship, you understand that Daddy was not there at all.
And there's
something there.
Jesse's daddy wasn't there.
And it could very well be why. Because notice.
But this ain't Jesse. We looking at him, and it's affecting.
So now we're going to black leader versus the black symbol then, right? Because you said that's not Jesse, right? Jesse ain't bitter towards black men. His daddy ran off and left him and his mom.
Look, I'm going on what he said. He said, and I heard it, because I heard him ask the question. I heard him. I heard the answer. I was there. She said that based upon what she picked up is that whenever he has those moments, when he starts to connect with us, they route through his dad.
That's right. That's right.
So all I'm saying is I'm not necessarily talking about Jesse being a leader, any of that. All I'm saying is that he has issues with his daddy.
Daddy issues.
And the issues
which means he
might
got issues with black men.
Yeah. So the issues might be bleeding out.
I hear that, and what I'm saying is mine was right on line. That there's a lot of black men that daddy has abandoned them, but they don't have issues with black men.
Right. But that's his issue. That's all I'm saying.
Also well, that's the issue he needed to correct, but the talk that's been in the leader of the free
state. Now see.
That's dangerous what he's doing at Morehouse.
Now see, check this out. You're saying he needs to correct this.
Yeah.
But if we got 70% of our population that's born out of wedlock.
That don't mean daddy's not there, though.
No, but the point is, how can you put something on him that a whole host of us
that's saying they're born out of wedlock. That's not saying they're not having.
But you're missing my point. My point is,
I get you.
I want to get the point though, because I'm not married to my son's mama. And I know a lot of folk, and I take that
but that's
seriously.
you.
But I'm saying everybody that's not that just because these children aren't married into a legitimate marriage that they're born in, that does not mean that the father's not.
And that's part of the point
I know daddies that are at home in the house.
That's
with the
part of the point
shit.
I'm making with him, because you're trying to judge him.
Yeah.
On that issue. And I'm saying there's a lot of dysfunction around that issue.
But that doesn't mean.
Period.
I agree, and that doesn't mean that we have to let him off the hook. Exactly. You see what I'm saying?
Push it on some of everybody.
Right. It goes back to the whole.
But it sounds like he's being judged on that issue on a different level than others. That's all I'm saying.
No, I don't think
he's on a different level.
No, but that ain't the issue. Right. When you deal with that ain't the issue.
Right. He's more problematic for me. Look, when he gets on his bully, because he has a bully
pulpit. Right.
My speakers and microphone ain't that big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, look. Man, we got to do it one more time. We got to take one more break. So if you on Ustream, then you getting it the best. But if you ain't on Ustream, then you catch this very last segment coming up in T-minus 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
You now hail from a lineage and legacy of immeasurably strong men who bore tremendous burdens and still laid the stones for the path on which we now walk. You wear the mantle of Frederick Douglass and Booker T. Washington and Ralph Bunche and Langston Hughes and George Washington Carver and Ralph Abernathy and Thurgood Marshall and, yes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. These men were many things to many people, and they knew full well the role that racism played in their lives. But when it came to their own accomplishments and sense of purpose, they had no time for excuses.